Welcome to today's lesson on exponents. Today you will learn what an exponent is, as well as how to solve for the value of a number that is written with an exponent. So first we're going to start by going over some vocabulary that you will hear throughout the lesson. As you see on the middle of the screen, you have the number 4, and then up next to it a little bit smaller is the number 2. The number 4 is what we call the base, and the number 2 is what we call an exponent. We can say this number in two ways. We can say it as 4 to the second power or 4 to the power of 2. What exactly is an exponent? What is the purpose of it? What does it stand for? Well, an exponent tells you the number of times you'll be multiplying the base. So in this case, we have 4 to the second power. So that means that we're going to be multiplying the number 4 2 times. So if we're to write this out, it would look like 4 times 4, and that's going to give us a value of 16. So that means that 4 to the second power has a value of 16. Let's go ahead and change our exponent and see if we can try another problem. So we're going to get rid of the 2, and we're now going to raise 4 to the third power. So what's going to happen when we multiply 4 to the third power? Well, we have 4 times 4 times 4, and now we're going to get an answer of 64. So that means that we have 4 to the third power, so we multiplied the number 4 3 times. 4 times 4 to equal 16 times 4 to equal 64. So multiplication is the practice of repeated addition. Now exponents are the practice of repeated multiplication. Now that we have had the chance to go over 4 to the second power and 4 to the third power, I want to go over a couple special cases with you. Now I know you've already seen 4 to the third power, and you've already seen 4 to the second power, but I still have them listed here because you might hear them referred to as something else. Since 3 and 2 are often used as exponents, we actually have a shortcut that we use for their names. So you may hear 4 to the third power, also called 4 cubed. Anytime you use that 3 exponent, you might hear it referred to as cubed. So it could be 2 cubed, 3 cubed, or in this case, 4 cubed. For the number 2, when it's used as an exponent, you might also hear it referred to as squared. So in this case, we have 4 squared. All right, let's go ahead and move on to 4 to the first power and 4 to the power of 0. Anytime you have an exponent that is raised to the first power, it's going to have a value of the base. So in this case, we have 1, 4, which means that it has a value of 4. Anytime you have a number that is raised to the power of 0, it will automatically have a value of 1. So if we raise 4 to the power of 0, it equals 1. If we raise 10 to the power of 0, it's still going to have a value of 1. Let's go ahead and do a few practice problems together to practice solving for the value of numbers that are written with exponents. First, we have 3 to the power of 3, or 3 cubed. So how many times are we going to have to multiply the number 3 by itself? Well, we need to multiply it 3 times because our exponent is 3. So if we multiply 3 times 3 times 3, we will have a value of 27. That means that 3 to the third power has a value of 27. Let's go ahead and take a look at 4 to the fourth power. How many times are we going to need to multiply the number 4? Well, since our exponent is a 4, that means we need to multiply it 4 times. So we're going to need to multiply 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 to equal 1,024. Now you're going to notice that the higher the exponent is, the larger the number is going to be. We are not multiplying here. Multiplying is repeated addition. We're using exponents, which represent repeated multiplication. So our numbers are going to get larger much more quickly. All right, let's go ahead and try 5 to the fifth power. How many times are we going to have to multiply the number 5 by itself? Well, since our exponent is a 5, that means that we're going to need to multiply the number 5 5 times. So if we multiply 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, we get 15,625. That's right. So you probably are starting to understand why you would need to use an exponent. Instead of having to write out 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, you can write it in a much shorter way by just saying 5 to the 5th power. Now that you have had the chance to practice writing exponents and finding their values, let's go ahead and find out how you could use this in the real world. What's the purpose of understanding an exponent outside of the classroom? Well, actually, have you ever heard of the Pay It Forward initiative? The Pay It Forward initiative says that if you do a good deed for 3 different people, and then they pass it on to 3 more people, that you can grow good deeds exponentially. So what exactly does that mean? I'll show you mathematically. Here's me. If I were to do a good deed for 3 people, 1, 2, 3, and I told those 3 people that they need to pass it on and do a good deed for 3 more people, my problem would start growing exponentially. So I would start with 3 people, 3 to the power of 1. And then if they had to do a good deed for 3 more people, they would then do 9 good deeds. So we now have 3 to the power of 2. And then if those 9 people were to then do a good deed for 3 more people each, we would then grow to 3 to the power of 3, and 27 good people would be doing good deeds for others. That is how you can get exponents into real life. Now that we've had the opportunity to learn about exponents, let's go ahead and take a moment to review. Now remember, exponents represent repeated multiplication. Also, any number raised to the power of 1 will equal itself. And lastly, any number raised to the power of 0 will equal 1.